Hi, in this video we are going to study about what is meant by Flutter and how to install the Flutter for Flutter app development. So let's dive into that. So first, what is meant by Flutter? So Flutter is an UI software development kit. So it is developed by Google. So what is the use of using a Flutter? It's simple. By using the Flutter, we can develop an mobile applications as well as the web applications. With the single code base, we can develop all those applications. So what is meant by single code base? So we want for example, if you are developing a mobile app for Android, we are supposed to study Java or Kotlin for Android app development, and also if you are want to develop an iOS applications, you are supposed to study Shift, and if you want to develop an web applications, you want to study about Angular. So this kind of things we want to study all the three different languages you want to study, and you want expertise in that particular thing. So whereas by using a Flutter, you can read only the Dart language, which is much easier. So with that single language, you can develop an mobile applications as well as the web applications. So this is a main advantage of moving to a Flutter. And with this, easily we can design a very beautiful UI, which is common to all mobile applications as well as the web applications. So flutter.dev is an official website for Flutter. So in that, you just scroll down. There is try Flutter in your browser. So this helps to run the application there itself. So now I'm going to select it as spinning Flutter option, and I'm just clicking on run. So after that, you can see in the right side there is an app is running over there, and inside that there is a Flutter icon is there. So I'm just click on that, it is rotating. So this is a sample application provided by Flutter team itself. Now I'm just selecting the Fibonacci series and I'm just pressing run. So now you can see the Fibonacci series is shown over there. So these are all the sample applications they provided. If you want, you can modify and test it out. So here itself you can learn live by typing and running without any software installations. Also, it is easy for initial learning purpose. You can use this website as well. So for installing the Flutter in your system, you just scroll up and there is a option of get started. So if you click on that, so here you can see how to install Flutter in different OS: Windows, Mac OS, Linux and Chrome OS. So these are all the different OS you can install Flutter and you can use it out. So let us go for Windows. So most commonly the Flutter is an SDK. So it is easy to download it as a SDK. There will be an option of downloading over there. So whatever the latest version of Flutter SDK, you download the Flutter in the Windows machine where you want to install it. So before that, you just make sure that you are meeting all the system requirements over there. So after downloading the Flutter SDK, you just extract it to the location where you want. For example, if I want it in C drive, I am just extract the whole Flutter SDK what I have downloaded to that C drive. So after that, we need to set an environmental path. We usually do it in for Java applications for setting a JDK path and all. Similarly, we want to do it for Flutter as well. So for that, you just go for my computer properties, and in that you can set an environmental variable over there. So in the environmental variable, you just go for a path, and inside the path you just add the path for that Flutter application. So for example, if I placed in the C drive, so I will use it as C:/Flutter/bin. So the bin is the folder we want to navigate to that particular thing. You cross check with the Flutter folder. You just whatever you extracted, you just check it out where the bin folder is located and copy the path and use it in the path variable. So after setting the path variable, you just save and close it out. Now for Mac OS, similarly what we did it for Windows, we want to download the Flutter SDK zip file and you want to unzip it from the terminal window.
So the code will be given there itself, and you can unzip it over there. And for, as like we did the environmental variable, we want to make export path here. If we go for Linux, then the similar thing as we did. So we want to download a Flutter SDK and we want to unzip it, and same way we want to export path. And after finishing that, you want to go for Flutter space doctor. Now I'm going for terminal and I'm just entering Flutter space doctor. So now you can see the Flutter versions and Android SDK things and all. So initially I configured Android SDK, so I'm getting the Android SDK version as well, and Android Studio version also shown over there, and connected devices. So connected, right now I didn't connected anything, so there is a exclamation mark is over there as like warning. So if we connect any devices, then it will be shown over there. Now, so if you got any error messages like Android SDK is missing, so similarly if you are using Mac, then Xcode kind of things will be missing will be shown over there. So for installing Android setup, we want to Android SDK, you want to suppose to download Android Studio and you want to install it over there. So this is more Android Studio. It is directly it installs the Android SDK and the emulators you want. So you can easily set up the Android SDK by using the Android Studio. So I am downloading and installing the Android Studio, and I am just similarly for Xcode also. Yeah, I'm just following the setup for Xcode and the iOS simulator. So for running the Flutter code. So after installing these things, then you run the Flutter doctor means, then you will find all the tick marks over there. So after this, so now we want some editor to programming the Flutter applications. We can use Android Studio itself or else Visual Studio. So Android Studio, which is a much heavier application, so it requires much RAM. And so for easy things, we can go for Visual Studio Code. So I am just choosing Visual Studio Code as well. So if you are familiar with the Android Studio, the same code, but the shortcuts and the plugins will be different. So by using Android Studio, you can run the emulator and you can keep it out, and you use that as an emulator for running the Flutter applications. So now I am installing the Visual Code and I am using it. So you can use and currently I am using Ubuntu version. So I'm just installing the Visual Studio Code, and in the command palette, clicking on the view option, and then you can go for command palette and you can click on extension. So in that extension, you can search it for Flutter and you install it. So it will automatically install the Dart as well. So now the Visual Studio Code is ready, and you can see the extension of Flutter and Dart get installed. You can click on that, you can search for Flutter, and you see that the Flutter and Dart got installed in the particular Visual Studio Code. So now our editor is ready for doing the Flutter programming. So in the further videos, we can see how to create a Flutter application and we can run it out. Thank you.